आपकी ज़िंदगी की इतनी अहम टेक्नोलॉजी आप इतने अच्छे से पढ़ रहे थे और अचानक से ऐसा ब्रेक हमको लेना पड़ा। दिस इज़ क्वाइट अनफॉर्चुनेट बट समहाउ वील हैव टू डील विद दिस। अब हम इस समय को इस तरह से बर्बाद नहीं होने दे सकते। हम एक काम करेंगे, हमने सोचा है कि हम आपके लिए जो जो चीज़ें मैं आपको इस हफ्ते पढ़ाने वाला था जावा में, उनके मैं छोटे छोटे 15-20 मिनट के वीडियोस बनाऊंगा और हमारे सर्वर पर अपलोड करूंगा और वो आपको आपके मेंबर जोन के लॉगिन में अवेलेबल करवाऊंगा। आप एक एक करके ये वीडियो देखिए और जो भी चीज़ें उसमें समझाई गई है वो आप करके देखिए। कोई भी डिफ़िकल्टी हो, ऑफिस खुला है, बिज़नेस व्हाट्सएप भी चालू है, आप उस पर अपनी टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम शेयर कर सकते हैं। और आप जब वापस आएंगे तो ये सारी चीज़ें एक बार रिकॉल करके वहाँ से हम आगे बढ़ेंगे और वो सारी बड़ी बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ें जावा की जो हम पढ़ना चाहते हैं हमारे करियर के लिए, वो सब हम वापस चालू कर देंगे। तब तक आप ये वीडियोस देख के वो असाइनमेंट्स करते रहिए। आपको याद होगा सैटरडे वाली क्लास में हमने एक बीन पढ़ा था, छोटा सा पहला बीन, जिसको हमने अगर परचेस अमाउंट भेजा तो वो हमें नेट बिल वापस करता था। उस बीन से मैंने वीडियो सीरीज़ की शुरुआत की है। पहला वीडियो उसी बीन पर बेस्ड है, वो आप देखिए। उस बीन को कैसे कंज्यूम किया जाता है सर्वलेट के अंदर, जेएसपी के अंदर, ऐसे एक एक करके मैं आपको एक एक एग्जांपल एक एक छोटे वीडियो में दूंगा। आप वो वीडियोस ज़रूर देखिए और अपनी पढ़ाई को जारी रखिए जहाँ कहीं भी आप हैं। और बहुत सुना सुना लग रहा है आपके बिना, जल्दी वापस आइए एंड विल बी डूइंग जावा अगेन। थैंक यू। First of all, we'll have to create a package to store all our Bean components. So we'll right click src, go into new and click to package option. Now you can specify any name. So here I am specifying name as my beans. Say finish. The package is created but it is showing at a wrong place. So you can just refresh the src folder. Now you can see it is positioned correctly. Now there are two packages, one for beans and one for servlets. Now let's right click the my beans package so that we can create a bean component inside that. So right click new and take an option as class for bean. So now it is asking for the name of the bean class. You specify a name like say bill calculator, because what we want to do is we want to pass purchase amount and return net bill. So it is something relating to billing. So you can specify name as bill calculator, B and C capital obviously. Now an empty class will be provided to you by Eclipse, and this class will have to build as a bean component class. So we'll begin with creating some properties, some private data members of the bean class. Like we need a property amount, which is of double type, and another property net bill. Now this is something which we are going to exchange with the JSPs and servlets. We are going to give amount and the bean will return us net bill. It's always a good habit creating a constructor in the bean component class so that we can initialize all the private data members. So here in this case we'll initialize amount as 0 and net bill also as 0.0. Now after doing these formalities, we will have to add the setters and getters to these bean components. So we'll have to first understand what we are going to pass to the bean and what the bean is going to return. So in our case, we'll be passing amount and we'll be returning net bill. So we'll go right click the bean component class source and select an option generate getters and setters. Now you will be provided with list of all the properties present in your bean class. Like in this case we have amount and net bill, and we have to choose appropriate setters and getters. So we'll select set amount because we want to pass value of amount, and get net bill because we want to get the result of net bill from the bean. So these two we need. So select these two and click to generate button. So see, the setters and getters are automatically added to your bean class. This is the first one is the getter, which is going to return netbill, and the second one is the setter, to which we are going to pass amount, and it is going to return, sorry, it is going to assign it to a property called amount. Now whenever we assign amount to the bean, we want to perform some calculations so that the net bill is calculated. So in the setter function, we will call an internal function for processing purpose. So we can name it anything like on amount change. The moment you pass new amount to the bean class, the original value of amount will change, and it will invoke an event function like on amount change. So we are declaring it as private because we don't want to call it from outside. This is a purely an internal function. So we are creating it private void on amount changed, and we will perform some basic processing operations. We are avoiding all complications. We are keeping it very simple because this is our first bean. So we have created a local variable here, double discount. We are checking whether if the amount is greater than 10,000, discount will be 13% of amount, and if the amount is less than that, the discount will be 9%. Okay, right, and now we'll calculate the net bill. Net bill equals to obviously amount minus discount. This is what we know. So the calculation is done, and this net bill, which is calculated by the event function, will be returned back to the calling JSP or a servlet from the getter function. So this is what we want to do. So this is a bean to which we will send amount, and the bean is going to return back net bill. So save all this, and now after creating this bean component class, we'll have to check this. We cannot run it directly. It has to be called by a servlet or a JSP, and then only it can be tested. So we will create first an HTML form from which we will be sending some data to a servlet or a JSP, and that servlet or JSP will internally call the bean component, and we will be able to test it. So we are creating a billing.html page which will take some data as an input from the user. So we are writing a hyperlink, billing.html, and test bean for billing. So this is what we are specifying. The user will click to this option, and that will take him to billing.html page. So let's create a billing.html page now. Our main purpose is to test the bean, but we have to go through the entire workflow. So right click web content, click to new, and take an HTML file and specify the name as billing.html. So click finish. An HTML page is generated. Here you will have to create a small HTML form. So specify some heading on some basic formalities. Now this form will take input from the user and will pass it on to a servlet or a JSP. That absolutely depends on your choice. So in the first example, we'll pass this data to a servlet. We can do that with a JSP also, as we all know. So we are writing nothing, means just bill. Action equals to bill, that indicates that is going to be a servlet. But if we write action equals to bill.jsp, so that will pass data to a JSP page. So we'll create a table just to make the form neat and clean, well aligned. So create a table, add a row, and create few columns so that we will be able to take input from the user. So we'll take customer name, and for customer name we will create an HTML text box. So input type equals to text and name equals to something like CUSTNM, right? So this is what, create another row in which we will be taking purchase amount as an input. So again, create a row, add some TDs, some cells, some columns, and take purchase amount. For this we'll create input type equals to number. So because we are going to accept only numeric values, so we are writing input type equals to number, and some name will assign to that text box, PAMT. These are the names with which this data will be received by a servlet or a JSP on the server side. And at the end of the form we will require a submit button which will pass all this data to the specified server side program. So input type equals to submit, value equals to submit, or whatever you want. So my HTML form is ready. Now this HTML data input will go to a servlet called bill. Now this is the servlet that I want to create, which will internally call a bean that we want to test. So now we'll create a servlet. So to create a servlet we'll have to go into the my servlets package present in the src directory, fine, and we'll have to create a new servlet with this name bill. So we have a package my servlets here. Right click, new, and take a servlet, specify the name as bill as specified in the HTML form, next, next, and here we have to choose a service function. Because we are passing data from an HTML form, we require DoPost and we don't need the doGet function. So as explained earlier in the servlet, so we are taking DoPost and we have removed doGet. So this is the servlet generated, and this is the DoPost function in which we will have to receive data from HTML and call the bean for processing. So we'll do that. Two things are coming from the HTML page. One is customer's name and another one is amount. So we are receiving customer name, CNM equals to request.get parameter, and the name with which the text box is created on the HTML form. So we can check if you want. So the name is CUSTNM. So this is the name with which the data is received on the server side. So we'll receive it here, request.get parameter CUSTNM, fine. So we have received it, and now we'll receive the amount. This is something very important for us because this is the one with which we want to do some processing. So we'll say AMT equals to request.get parameter and name of the number box, text box that we have written, PAMT. So request.get parameter PAMT. But Eclipse here is returning you an error. It is underlined, so it means there is an error, and it is saying that cannot convert from string to double. So every data coming in from HTML form is internally considered as a string. So we'll have to convert it into appropriate data type. We want it in a double type, so we'll convert it to double. So double dot pass double of request.get parameter. So your data is converted into double format. Now usually we do processing here itself, but because we have a bean, we will not be doing processing in the servlet. We will pass on this data to the bean. So we have a setter, set amount in the bean, to which we are going to pass. So let us call the bill calculator bean here. So let's create an object of the bean class, bill calculator, say for example BC equals to new bill calculator. So we are just creating an object like we do normally in object-oriented programming. So we have created an object of the bean class, and now it is again giving you an error. So this class is present in my beans package. So we'll have to import that package first in the beginning of the servlet. So say import, click to this, And now you can see in the beginning of the servlet, this mybeans.bill calculator class is imported, and you will be able to use it in your program. That's fine. So now the bean object is ready. We have to pass some data to the bean with the help of the setter function. So we'll say bc.setAmount, and we will pass the value of the variable AMT, in which we have received data from HTML form. So we'll pass on that data to the bean, and now the bean is going to return back netbill. So to receive netbill, we will create a variable of double type net. So net equals to bc.getNetbill. Now this is the function that we have created in the bean component class to receive value from the bean. So now we have got netbill calculated and received. We'll be showing some information as an output of this servlet. So out.println customer name plus whatever we have received from the HTML form. Customer name has to do nothing with the bean, so we have received it from HTML and displayed it as it is. And now we are showing on the next line, so take br and netbill. Now netbill is something that the bean has calculated and returned back to my servlet that I am printing here. So that's all. So we have developed an HTML form, we have created a servlet, and we have already a bean ready. But there is a problem. The out object has to be created. So we'll create the out object. Now the print writer is giving you an error, so import a package java.io so that this error is fixed. And now you can see the print writer is also imported. Now the servlet is ready, I should say. Now the servlet is ready and you can run this entire application. So we have got everything in place. We have got the HTML form that takes input from the user and passes it on to a servlet. The servlet will receive your data and will pass it on to a bean. Fine, this is the flow that we want to test. It will pass your data to a bean property. Now this is where we are invoking the bean component, and this is what we wanted to test. So we are invoking bill calculator. This is the name of our bean component, which is already imported. So we have created an object. We are passing value to the bean. There is a setter already present in the bean class. So this is where we are passing the value, and then we are calling an event function, a processing function, which will do some processing work. In this case, the processing is absolutely simple, may not be in the next few examples. So, and we'll receive the net bill from the bean component in a servlet, and then we will print all the result. So customer name and net bill we are printing. So now let us run this example, save everything, and we will be running it. So right click the project name, go into run as and run on server. Fine. So Tomcat server is already added to Eclipse, so we'll run this application on the Tomcat server. Now the home page is loaded, the index.jsp. See, this is the link, test bean for billing. Now click to this, and now we are on an HTML form, billing.html. Now here we will specify customer name and some purchase amount. So just to test it, we are writing customer name and some purchase amount like 13,900. The moment I press submit button, the data will go to a servlet. And now see, servlet has passed your data to a bean, and bean has given you the result. So 13,900 was my purchase amount, and the net bill is 12,093. So this is something that the bean has calculated. Now you can try some other values just to make sure that the bean is working fine for all conditions. So we are specifying 2,610, right, and submit. So the net bill now is 2,375. So the bean is working fine, and we have tested it completely. So the HTML, servlet, and bean, all three layers are working fine. In the next few examples, we'll try using JDBC also, so that we will be able to take help of the database for processing in the Bean. And Bean, as we know, provides processing support to all our servlets and JSPs, and for that we need all the setters, getters and processing functions.